Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Base Initiative podcast, or otherwise known as Base Talk. I'm Airiel Mariez, and I'll be your host for today. And I'm joined here together with my co-host,
Rizana. Hi, everyone. We're really glad to have you. Today, we're going to be tackling the million-dollar question that every student faces. What will my future career path be? It is arguably the most important decision you'll have to make after secondary school, and we know how overwhelming the weight can feel.
Exactly. Whether you find yourself stuck between choosing a course that is related to your passion or choosing something that is more practical, or maybe you just feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of options that are available, don't worry, as we've got you covered. Today, we're going to discuss on the what and how to choose your intended course.
And to help us figure this out, we've brought in 4 amazing guests. They've gone through the research, the applications, and the interviews, and they're here today to share their insights. Guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Aiza. I'm a YTP Perdana scholar, and my intended course is biotechnology.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nur Intasa Izzati, but I usually go by Tessar, and I'm on track to pursue economics under the Bank Negara Kijang Scholarship.
Hi everyone, my name is Liaw Chong-yi. People just call me Liaw. I'm currently a Bank Negara scholar intending to pursue economics.
Hi everyone, my name is Aiman. I'm a Yayasan UAM scholar pursuing civil engineering.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for that introduction. So, before we get into the heavy stuff, let's give a huge shout out to Batch 08 for completing their SPM examinations. Woohoo! Okay, congratulations, guys. You guys have just crossed the first big finish line. But remember, as one chapter ends, another one begins.
Definitely. It's that weird phase where you're celebrating finishing a major exam, but also low-key stressing about scholarship preparation. Thinking back to your own post-SPM era, did you guys spend that time diving straight into scholarship research, or did you get your driver's license, or perhaps even picked up a part-time job?
After SPM, I definitely take a very good rest because you basically strive for SPM for a whole year. So you definitely need a very good rest, and it doesn't matter how long it is. Before you start diving into scholarship research, I'm so sorry, you have to have a really good rest. So, and I think the most suitable time for you to start focusing on that kind of stuff is right around when SPM results are about to be released. So yeah.
All right. For me, I basically did every activity that Rizana mentioned just now. I did all 3. I got my license, I worked a part-time job at a stationery shop, and I also did some research. So I used that time to discover my passion and what I want to pursue in the future. And I did a lot of research on the different scholarship bodies available, and I kind of estimated my results and see where I could apply.
I mean, for me, after SPM was over, my first thought was, oh, so it's over? Is it like, that's it? And then after that, I just basically went to take a very long sleep. I think it took until quite long. So then, and then after that, didn't really do much research at first. So I went to get a license, and then I did a part-time job, as well as after that, I actually went on a trip to China around a month. And after I came back, which was around the time the results were about to come out, only then I started actually looking into the different scholarship providers and what are their requirements, and to just have a mindset and see whether or not am I eligible for it. Yeah, so that's what I did.
Well, for me, I think it's definitely what Aiza said. I mean, we've worked so hard over the past few years, so we should definitely take a well-deserved rest. So I definitely enjoyed my free time off. I went out with my friends, went to see concerts, went traveling, and all that stuff. And when it comes to doing research about like what I wanted to do post SPM, it was something that I did like, it wasn't a sad thing. It was like, if I rasa rajin, then I would do it. So from time to time, I would do a little bit of research about what are the courses I can pursue, what scholarships I plan on applying to, and basically what are the different requirements for each of them.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And, you know, another thing that I find is fascinating is how much our passion changes, you know, as we grow older. You know, as for me, when I was small, I wanted to be a pilot for the longest time. You know, my father would joke that if he showed me a picture of a car, it would probably take me, 6 to 7 seconds before, I got to guess the model of the car. But if you showed me a picture of a plane, then I could definitely get it in an instant. So, just out of curiosity, how does your current career ambition compares to your childhood dream that you guys once held?
Well, for me, I share the same commonality with Marius. I wanted to be a pilot for the longest time I can remember. Ever since I was a kid, same thing with him lah. Like, show me a picture of a plane, I can probably guess it immediately. But besides being a pilot, that I also was interested in architecture. So these were like the two courses that I was considering to pursue. But after researching about like the uncertainties of being a pilot and also the lack of scholarships that piloting aviation doesn't offer, I looked at architecture. And then that's when I found out architecture is a really hard class. So I thought, what is something that's related to that? So I began researching more about other fields that work together with architecture. And that's how I stumbled upon civil engineering. And I looked more into that and saw that, oh, this is actually something I'm interested in. Like my strengths align with the requirements of the course. So that is eventually what I decided to pursue.
Wait, I'm quite surprised that another person also wanted to become an architect, because all my life I wanted to be an architect, and I was like, wouldn't it be nice if I could walk into a building and say, I built this and I designed this? So I thought that was really cool. I was also really into Legos, so I thought that was kind of similar, but I know it's nowhere near the same thing. So yeah, I also did a bit of research, and in my school, not many people wanted to take the art streams, so they didn't offer it. So I made a big decision to drop biology and take accounting. So the whole SPM season was basically me focusing on accounting, and I was like, okay, so architecture doesn't work, so I'm just gonna stick with accounting. So I was really fixated on accounting, and my whole scholarship journey was kind of a self-discovery journey. And I realized that, wait, what if there's something more to accounting? And that's where I did more research.
I mean, for the most part, for me, throughout my entire high school, actually, I had the longest dream of being a teacher, and specifically in additional mathematics. For me, I wanted to be a teacher was because I feel like it's a very wonderful job to be, and like teaching the future generations. It was really that far that I thought of. But then as I enter like the scholarship era, and when I'm trying to think about scholarships and all, I just realized, number one, there's not a lot of scholarships that offer the role of getting an education degree and whatnot. And apart from that, I just soon to realize that in terms of scholarships, I don't actually know what to do, but I do know what I don't want to do, which surprisingly was actually engineering and medics. Yeah, that's actually what my father told me. Was like, I sent you to science school, you took the science stream subjects, and why do you want to do engineering? I'm like, yeah, that's just not my thing. So I just didn't even think about applying for anything engineering or medic related. So yeah, that's when I started discovering a bit more about what I want to do. Actually, when I applied for scholarship, also I didn't really know what exactly I want to do, but I guess that's just down the road. As soon as I discover more, then I know more. Yeah, something like that.
For me, I'm actually quite similar to Liaw, which is I don't engineering was not even in my first option. Ever since I was a child, I want to become a scientist. And like in my family, there's two engineers, and I thought that engineering might just be in my blood, but I just don't find the passion in engineering. I just don't like building things. But fun facts, in high school, I'm actually really into physics. I'm really good in physics, and actually, I wanted to become an astrophysicist before. And it's such a like a weird shift from astrophysics to bio field. So yeah, that's just how the progress just happen when you grow.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, we could have had like architectures here. Okay, now, all right, thank you. And that brings us to the core of today's discussion. We want to talk about the reality of making the choice, the logic, and also the strategy behind picking a path that actually suits you for who you are and where you want to go in life.
All right, let's start with the big picture. Why is choosing the right course actually so important? I mean, we all hear that it's a life defining moment, but in your experience, is it really that make or break, or is it more about setting a foundation for the future?
I mean, I just start this off. I mean, for me, actually, it's not really a make or break situation. Because this is something I quote from my father actually when he gave me advice. Was like, as it's like this, as we grow, as life expectancy gets longer and longer, like we are at our generation, we probably will be working until the age of like 70s or maybe 80s even. So the first degree, as my father said, is not really as important as you think it is, because you can continue to develop yourself and to study more as you grow older. So my father always told me like the first degree, do what you want to do, and like do what you're interested in. So I guess that's the core, I suppose, advice if I want to give someone, like, do something that you want to do for your first degree, and then down the road, if you enter into the career, you have always the opportunity to, find different stuff to do, different courses and whatnot. So yeah, I think that's how it started off.
Yeah. Well, I think I definitely agree with Liaw. When I was applying for scholarships and eventually landing on engineering, my father himself was actually an engineer. But he also told me that just because you do an engineering degree doesn't mean you're stuck with that career for the rest of your life. He also in fact pivoted to the financial field eventually, even with an engineering degree. And even now we can see that a lot of people in the finance industry have engineering backgrounds. So when choosing your course, I wouldn't say it's life altering. It's just that it's going to affect you in the short run. But in the long run, you can still continue to explore and develop yourself. It all depends on what you want to learn, what are your strengths, and whether you can carry forward and do that degree.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Aiman and Liao said. And I think to echo that, I think that basically applying and choosing a career is quite important, but we shouldn't be so narrow minded and see that as like the end of everything, and that's the final thing. Instead, we should, like, as we know, the job market and jobs in demand are constantly changing. So there's nothing really that is fixed, and we should be able to adapt to that. And I think that it's also really important for us to talk to these people who are in these fields and hear from their experience, so that we could, like, know more about what they're doing. We wouldn't want to wake up every single day and go to work and be like, man, I hate this job. You would want to be excited to go to work, and you wouldn't want to, like, oh, yeah, I should just sleep in. People should be passionate about what they do, and I think that that's something that's really important.
Yeah, I agree with Tessar. And I honestly 100% think that choosing the right course is very important because, like, you're going to spend half of your life working. So you need to be able to enjoy your work, right? So that's why, like, choosing the right course is just as important as making a big decision in your life.
All right. So following up on that, when you're actually sitting down and like looking at the list of the available career options that you have, the list just goes on and on and on. So, in your opinion, what are the most important factors to consider before choosing a course? So, is it like the starting salary, or is it what the job market will look like in 5 to 10 years, like what you said, Tessa? So, yes, anyone?
All right, so I think that we all are not wizards. We can't predict the future. It's quite hard for us to forecast what exactly the jobs are in demand. Instead, there are many factors. If the teachers were to advise you, usually they'll be like, just pick the subject that you're good at or something that you like. But I think that there are other things that should also be taken into consideration, such as passion, what your work environment would be like. Would you like that? The flexible working hours. So, like I said, we should always talk to the experts in this field so that we could gain more insight. For instance, if we were to discover about accounting, don't just talk to the people who love accounting, who are really good at accounting and have only the greatest experiences. Also talk to the people who hate accounting and those who find a lot of flaws in accounting, and see if you are able to tolerate that. So I think it's really important to gain insight and ask opinions from opposite ends of the spectrum.
Well, I guess Tessa kind of just covered most of the points that it's that to think about when in terms of, like, especially as like an 18-year-old trying to choose a career, which is actually still a long way to go actually. So I would suggest at this age, it's more about, first of all, just separating between, first is separating between like STEM or humanities. And once you have that separation, you look into the specifics. If you like doing humanities, so consider, is it law, is it economics, is it accounting, and there's many other more. And STEM, obviously, the most famous will be medic and engineering. So then from there, you just look into, first of all, what you're genuinely interested in. Like, is it mathematics? Is it physics, biology, or I don't know, history? So just from there, and then pick and choose which one is something you want to do. Because I feel like as much as the job market is unpredictable and whatnot, at the age of 18 years old, I believe it's better to study something that you actually want to study. Like, don't just, if it's in the long term, it's like, do you want to sleep in for work and do you feel passionate to do work? But in the short run, it's more like, do you even want to go to class? Like, if you're studying a subject you don't like to study, then you won't even want to go to class every day because it feels like a dreadful feeling because you don't even like doing that. So I suppose in the short run, it's more about, pick and choose the subjects that you want to do. And then from there, expand your career or choose the career based on those subjects. Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone hit it quite on the nail already. There's nothing much to add, but I would say, I think Liao said this earlier. It's easier to know. It's easier for you to know what you don't like rather than what you like. So go from there. Like for me, I hate reading, so law was out of the question for me. And you could go for that. If you hated physics in high school, then don't do engineering. And you know what you don't like, so go from there. And then from then on, whatever that's left, just look at what the course entails and what is the actual requirements and what do you have to study for it. And also another thing, Tessa said about the job market, like we can't predict what's gonna happen 5 to 10 years down the road once we graduate. Like 5 to 10 years ago, AI was a thing that no one said. Today, that's all everyone's talking about. But in 5 to 10 years, we don't know whether AI is going to develop or it's going to be something completely new. So don't focus solely on the growth of the job market and also what it could potentially be the new buzzword in the future. Look at the most stable jobs that currently exist and know that they will always be in demand down the road.
I pretty much does not have anything else to add to them, but I have a little bit to add for in the terms of uh passion factors, which is like for me, one thing I'm really considered when choosing the courses that I want to pursue in the future is that passion, whether I'm going to enjoy it in the future or not. Because like I just have one things to give away to the SPM batch 28 is that doesn't mean that you good at it in high school. For example, like me, I'm good in physics in high school, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to enjoy physics in the future just because the high school is easy. It's gonna get harder when it comes to the future. So that's one of the things that you should also consider.
All right, thank you guys. So this next question is for the scholarship hunters out there. How much does the course you choose actually affect your scholarship chances later on? Do you think certain fields give you an easier path to obtain a scholarship?
I'm going to begin with this because I believe my courses is quite niche and and all the sponsorship body just does not sponsor biology. I think like about 2 to 3 only sponsorship body that sponsor life science, which I think it's like one of the factors you should also consider. So it is actually affecting the choices of the scholarship that you're going to apply. But for me, I think that just apply to all the scholarship that have the offers that you want. Don't think about the financial aid during this preparatory program, because in the future during degree you still have a lot more options and there's going to be a lot more opportunities for you to get the financial aid for the courses that you want. So don't get too stressed out about the sponsorship body does not sponsor you in this time yet. So
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with Aiza. I think that if I were to give advice to people, don't force yourself to like something. Don't force yourself to like a certain course because a bunch of scholarship bodies provide that course. Like for instance, maybe Bank Negara, they offer more finance and economics related courses, but don't force that. You can't force your feet to fit a shoe. Like don't force yourself to like certain things because you don't want to be regretting it later on. Like Liao said, like imagine you are not even excited to go to class and you just wanted to secure a scholarship, so you force yourself to like a really difficult course. You're gonna like that would just burden yourself even more, and instead, like, it's better to focus on like self discovery and finding what you actually want instead of what is strategic for me to apply for. I think that's like we should divert the attention to those kind of things.
I mean, in terms of scholarship and the options that they have, it depends on what type of scholarship you're going for. If you really want to go overseas, in Malaysia currently, most of it is obviously dominated to either engineering or the finance parts like a split. But then for others like medic and all, it's kind of a bit more limited. So here I will resonate something that Aiza said just now, which is obviously don't, and also what Tessa said, which is don't force yourself to like something even though you don't like it, which is kind of important because I have friends who actually had very good results like AA plus, 9A plus, but they didn't apply any scholarship. Reason they want to take they want to take UM's Pasum. They want to go into medic. They just wanted medic. They don't really care about anything else. And that's a very good choice. I mean, I see them now, they're prospering, they're growing, and they are actually doing pretty good. So the general advice would be obviously number one, if you have a clear picture of what you want to apply for, then go ahead, just focus on that course. If you don't have any clear direction yet, then that's when you obviously be a bit more flexible. Just throw in different courses when you apply the scholarship and all, and see which one you can land on. And that's how it goes. In terms of chances wise, obviously, if you're more leaning towards engineering or finance, then you have a better probability, I suppose, to land a internet global scholarship that allows you to fly overseas. But if that's not really your main concern right now, then just go ahead with what you are really passionate in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what everyone said essentially. But yeah, when you, like what Tessa said, if you apply for a course that you have no interest or passion in, let's say you reach the stage where you have to face the interviewers on the course you applied. If they ask you, why did you apply for this course? But you have zero passion, zero knowledge about the course, you're just gonna sit there not really knowing what to answer. And imagine how that's gonna feel like when you're actually studying for it. You're gonna question yourself, what am I doing? Why am I studying this course? All just to get a scholarship. If your priority on getting a scholarship is to fly overseas, make sure you should always still choose a course that you like so that you can properly study the course. But if your priority lies in doing something that you actually like, then don't go for it. Like what Liaw said, there are many options that you can go from after your SPM. There are many great foundation courses here in Malaysia that are internationally recognized. For example, after PASUM, you don't know where you can end up. You can still go overseas from there. And like what Aiza said, there are still scholarship opportunities even after degree. So really choose what you want to do and prioritize that. That's what I would say.
All right, guys, that was definitely an eye-opening discussion. This really proves that passion plays a really, really important role when choosing a course. Now that we're talking about passion, I just wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk about how we should balance, doing what we love and, actually matching it with the reality of the professional world. Okay, let's kick it off with a classic debate. Is it better to choose a course based on the subjects that you enjoy, or should you instead prioritize the subjects that you're actually good at? Because, let's be real. Sometimes the subjects that we love isn't necessarily the subjects that we score A's and, the ones that we get good grades. So, yes, let's hear your thoughts.
Well, I would say this can come into, if let's say your plan is on applying for scholarships, right? Then this is where you can start looking at what pre-university or foundation programs the scholarships will make you do. So if let's say you are under the scholarship, you will have to do A levels. Then you can look a bit into the subjects that A level offers. So for example, let's say SPM, right? You love biology, but you look at the A level syllabus for biology. Is it similar? And do you think that you can cope with that? Of course, it's going to be harder because it's definitely a step up from high school. But is it a big shift that you think that you can't handle? So that's, I think, something that you should definitely look into. And like what Mari said, like, oh, I love this subject, but I suck at it. So there's no, to be completely honest, then there's a chance that you might not do well later on in university in that subject as well. Of course, you can learn from it. You can learn it and study it well. But when it comes to scholarships, there is a lot of things that you should consider because you only have about 2 years to prepare before you can go to university. And there's only a certain set of universities that you can go to. So there's a lot of strict requirements that you have to meet. And it's not really something that you have that much time to work on and improve. So I would say definitely go for what you're strongest at. And if you want to prioritize your passion, then choose the avenue that will let you be able to develop that further.
I think I resonate with what Aiman said. A few things actually. The first thing is that in terms of scholarship wise, I would definitely suggest going for what you're strongest rather than what you're passionate at. Because once again, if it's a bonus, obviously, if what your passion is also what you are very good in. Like, if let's say you're really good in maths and you really like maths, then that's a bonus. But I just give a personal example. It's like once upon a time, like I said, I wanted to be a maths teacher because I really enjoy additional mathematics. And now when I'm in A level and I'm doing further maths, I kind of sit back and feel like, do I really like maths? Yeah. So that's the point. It's like, do choose things that you're really strong in rather than choosing things you're really passionate in if it's for scholarship purposes. Because obviously you're bonded by a bond and you're pretty much I would say you're in debt, like a million ringgit in debt. that's given that you finish your bond and everything, then you're not in debt anymore. But if but at the moment you're studying, you're still in debt. So be very determined and also know what exactly you're doing, so that whatever you're studying in A levels or even universities, you can get the best grades out of it and land the stable job under your sponsorship. So choose the subject that you're actually the strongest in, rather than maybe passionate in terms of scholarships. Yeah.
All right, yeah, I think I would like to echo what Liao said. Do your research and be strategic. Like, we have to be realistic. Like, for example, if we really like a subject, it also depends on how bad we are at the subject. Like, for example, if I really like maths but I'm really bad at maths, of course it's not a realistic and it's not a good decision for us to continue and pursue maths and take further mathematics. Like Liao said, these scholarships, they are serious things. We are bonded by contracts and we have to meet the requirements. So I think it's not something that you can take lightly. You have to truly consider that. And like Liao also said, like sometimes there's also time in the future if we would like to discover other courses and delve into things that we are passionate about. But like Tengku Aiman also said, be strategic and look into the different pathways, which one allows you to grow and adapt according to the different subjects.
Of course, we can't talk about balance without talking about family. So, how do you manage parental expectations versus your own passion, especially when your parents might have their own ideal career paths laid out for you?
For me, my parents have always been supportive of me of whatever courses that I choose. But like, of course, they have their own expectation, which they want me to become either doctors or lawyer, because that is the stereotype of having a perfect career. But if you have a firm belief that you can do the courses that you want to do, and you can convince them by having a firm belief, then that might help you to overcome your parents' expectation.
Yeah, same like Aiza, I have really supportive parents, so they didn't really set any strict expectations. Instead, I actually looked up to my four amazing sisters and I wanted to be like them. So, for those of you who do have like parents with really strict and high expectations, I think it's really important for us to communicate our concerns, what exactly we are thinking and how we are feeling. Sometimes they don't really know that, and it is something that they should take into consideration. If you are truly not passionate about like being a lawyer, tell that to your parents and make sure that they don't force you into doing that. I know it's hard, but it's an uncomfortable conversation that you have to move on with the future.
All right. Thank you, Aiza and Tessa. So this next question is more of a personal question and some sort of like a reality check. So personally, do you like the idea of the job, or do you like the actual daily work it involves? So what I mean by this is, for example, liking the idea of being a doctor is very different from, liking the 12-hour shifts that you actually have to complete when you're working as a doctor. So yes.
Well, for me, I think it's a little bit of both, because when it comes to courses like engineering, the things you learn are definitely something that you will apply later on in your career. So that's something that I really look for when it choosing a career. So like what Tessa said just now, like being a civil engineer, if let's say you build a bridge, let's say I built the Penang Bridge. Every time I would drive on it, I'm like, I made this bridge, man. So it's that kind of feeling of accomplishment that I look for when it comes to choosing a career. And when it comes to learning the actual subject, it's gonna be hard for sure, but it's knowledge that I will be able to apply, and it eventually helps me to do a better job at it. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's about the idea of being an engineer, but rather about the things I can do once I'm an engineer.
Yeah, I'll say similar to what Tengku said. It's more about the liking. I mean, looking at what you will actually be doing. And for the case of me being a Bank Negara scholar, working in Bank Negara is actually very different from commercial banks. Like Bank Negara is a public service sector, so it's a very different type of working environment and all. So for me, I'm actually kind of excited. Like after hopefully in 4 years' time, I'll be going back into the bank and serving the bank. And because it's not just serving the Central Bank of Malaysia, it will also be serving the people of Malaysia, because you're working at the heart of Malaysia's economy. So yeah, I think it's more it's also like it's not just the idea, it's also like the reality when you actually work in it that excites me, and it's important to consider that as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. So now, we know that batch '08 just finished their papers and their results won't be coming out in another few months. But actually, this waiting period that is given to them is actually the best time to start planning. So, should students use their SPM trial examination results to start, narrowing down their options now, or should they just, wait for the actual SPM results?
Yeah, I think it's really a better idea to start early. And okay, our trial results doesn't necessarily equate to our real results, but it's the best material that we have to forecast our SPM results. So I think that it's definitely better to start early and see how things would be. Basically, I think that if we were to do last minute research, it would make us really anxious and it would make us turn to impulsive decisions. So spend that period after SPM to discover more about yourself. Like I said, sometimes it's quite hard to know certain facts about us. So talk to people, talk to your family members. What are your opinions on me? If you see me, what do you think I would be like in the future? What kind of jobs I do? And also you can like turn to sites really after SPM. Try your best to be resourceful. I remember after SPM, I watched all of the base videos and I did a bunch of MBTI tests. I looked for my personality and what types of careers would match that. So yeah, start early and the early bird gets the worm, guys.
Well, I would say plan for the best. If let's say your trial results aren't exactly what you were hoping for, then like what Tessa said, for SPM, maybe you'll get straight A's or maybe even straight A plus. No one knows. So just plan for the best because there's no harm in just listing out your options and what the requirements are. And eventually, when your results come, if it meets your expectations, then good. You are eligible to apply for all of the things that you've already researched. But if not, then it's okay. You've already narrowed down what the possible choices. So just go for that. It's better to prepare for the best. Normally people say prepare for the worst, but in this case, prepare for the best outcome. Because even if you don't meet it, you have options and you have the choices that you can choose from.
I think I'll just add a bit. It's just don't use your if like because right now for 08, you guys only have the trial results. Don't use it to kill your dreams in the sense that do not look at it and say like, oh, I failed my ATMATs. That means I won't be able to do something that's I don't know engineer related or whatnot. Just don't do that first. Still go with your passion, go with your heart, and obviously prepare for the best at the same time also prepare for the worst. It's like if let's say the results came out, it's not as what you desired for, then maybe from there you can pick and choose courses that you want to do. But if it actually ends up being something you really wanted, then continue with the passion. So follow what the heart says first, but don't use your results as something that a kill switch is like, oh, because of my trials actually, just because I didn't get it in my trials, then I don't want to do certain courses anymore, or I should stop the dream of maybe being an engineer one day. So don't do that first. Keep the dream alive and just keep on discovering. Yeah.
Thank you guys for your honest insights. Now, this is something we don't talk about enough, the safety net. What should a plan B actually look like? If your first option doesn't work out, how do you prepare a backup option that you're actually happy with rather than just a last resort?
For me, I think when people said talking about plan B, when it comes to career, right? They talk about like how the plan B should be other courses. But for me, I think that what it meant by plan B in the courses that you want is that what do you think that what other choices of the career that you have if the career that you want are not successful in the future. Like, for example, if you want to pursue, like for me, I want to pursue biotech, what are my plan B? My plan B is not I jump into engineering suddenly. My plan B would be I want to pursue something in biology fields such as biochem. So you have to think about that kinds of aspect. You don't have to be complicated just to think about like, oh my god, in the future biology is just going to be replaced by AI, then I'm going to jump to AI. No, there's a lot of aspects that in the course of that you want to pursue, there's a lot more option.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Aiza, and I think I'll explain more in terms of scholarships. I think this kind of happened to me because what happened was during my SPM, I was, like I said, I was really fixated on accounting and I was hesitant to explore other subjects and other courses because I didn't take like biology or econs. So I basically applied all of my scholarships for accounting. And what happened was I only did research on accounting and I disregarded other courses. I disregarded any plan Bs and just stuck with that. And throughout that whole discovery and that whole scholarship season, I found out that there's actually more to that. And that's where I reflected back on myself, on my ECAs, the activities I joined. And I found one common theme. All of it really tied back to sustainability and economics. And that's where, like, I kind of saw Bank Negara as a positive redirection. Even though I applied accounting for my first choice, I got called for the interview for economics, which was my second choice. So I had to like redirect my energy towards that, but it was actually a positive thing. Bank Negara's interview kind of pushed me to work towards my dream because at first I was hesitant since I didn't take econs during SPM. So I was really grateful for the opportunity, and yeah, always have a plan B and don't be so narrow-minded and only have a tunnel vision. Always explore other places as well.
Yeah. I just want to add, so from my personal experience, but like I said, my passion was always to be a pilot. And it's something that I've always wanted to do for a long time. But eventually I realized that it's not the most viable career, looking at costs, looking at the unstable job market and things like that. So that's when I looked at what other things I'm passionate in, which eventually landed me at civil engineering. And that's what I applied for all of my scholarships. And scholarships was my plan A, to pursue civil engineering under scholarship. And you could say in a way my plan B was to continue it in IPTA. So I applied through UPU. Eventually I got into PASUM. But there was a point when I was applying for scholarships where I got rejected by basically almost every single scholarship. And I was already in PASUM at that time. And it hit me quite hard because I remember sitting there thinking like, I'm stuck doing something that's my second choice. It's not something that I truly want to do. And I was really struggling trying to adapt in PASUM. I didn't really feel comfortable there. I didn't feel like I was happy there. So it left me really wondering whether I still wanted to do this. And so I would say your plan B should definitely be, if your plan A is to pursue a degree overseas, applying for scholarship and studying overseas, your plan B should be something that you truly want to do, something that you are truly passionate in, like, because like Aiza say, right, not everything that we want to do is offered by scholarships. So that would be my advice. Your plan B should definitely be something that you are truly passionate in. Follow your dreams, essentially. Yeah.
I guess for me, in terms of when I was doing scholarship application, my plan B was pretty simple. Is because thank God I got into matriculation. So my plan B that time was, okay, let's say I really didn't get any scholarships, I'll just continue matriculations and hopefully do a course in econs or law. I don't know, in UM, hopefully. But then obviously that didn't. Obviously I'm here right now. So for the most part, in terms of plan B, is always number one, make sure you have like an actual route to continue education. Just don't gamble everything on scholarships. Just don't. It's not a smart choice at all. And then that in your terms of plan B, Malaysia is the ones that usually people look into, obviously UPU, matriculations or STPM. And if you have a bit more money, then it's IPTS. So then go for these four options and pick and choose which one you want to pursue in. And from there, if let's say you're going for maybe UPU or matriculations, that's when you can have the ability still to choose the course that you want, like choose the subjects that you want to do that can actually direct you to the right course that you want to do in the future. So it's never like a dead end in Malaysia. That's the good thing about our education system, especially for tertiary. It's like you can always have your passion keeping alive, even if you don't have a scholarship. It's just that you have a different means of it. It's just a different type of education system and different types of exposure that you get. But for the most part, you can still keep the passion alive because the routes we have are all very fulfilling and resourceful. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Now, sometimes, we need a little more help to see our own strengths. And I believe Aiza mentioned, some website or free quizzes that actually do a good job of matching your, personality to the course that you want to join. So, maybe Tessar, we can start with you. Any other, websites you could recommend?
All right, so I would definitely recommend, okay, besides like watching documentaries and YouTube videos, joining webinars, you can go to the site, I think it's called Blossom Up and 16 Personalities. They describe in depth the different types of personalities there are and what careers the people with that personality usually go for. So you can take those tests, but don't limit yourself to what they say. Like, don't just take engineering because the MBTI said so. Do your research and use that as one of the factors to consider your career, not just the main factor. Make sure to also consider other things. But yeah, personality is also a really good way for us to see the kind of jobs we want, the work environment we can tolerate. So yeah, I think that's also important.
All right. Let's say someone has already done the research and the quizzes, but they're still completely stuck. Who should they turn to? Is it better to talk to a counselor, a senior who's already in uni, or someone actually working in the industry?
I think the first people to turn to might be your parents, because for the most part our parents the people who witness our growth from like since a toddler until we are like 18 years old, so they have a general better view of what we are more suitable in doing and we're not. I mean, this is pretty not to say it's across the board, but for a lot of cases, like for my case as well, my father always questioned me like, "Are you sure you want to be a teacher? Because you don't look like you don't look like someone who can be a teacher." It's like, I mean, now I think about it, it's like, okay, you know what? I'll take that. It's like, yeah, it makes sense because it's true. I mean, some part of what my father observed me that I don't even realize myself, that's to reflect maybe I don't have all the qualities to be a good teacher, something like that. I'm not saying that I'm bad or what, but yeah, that's generally the views that your parents have. And then after that, obviously, we're going to counselors or people, or maybe even people in the industry to have a view of like what were their passions before, and then why did they end up doing this course, or why did they end up doing this job, and I guess diverging from that and getting advice and collecting them one by one like that. Yeah, that's what it was.
I would say a combination of all the parties mentioned. I think that some people don't turn to professionals because they're not comfortable asking questions like that. They're not comfortable making themselves vulnerable and expressing their concerns. So maybe, like Liaw said, talk to someone like your family members, talk to someone that you are comfortable with, that you are okay with letting them know your weaknesses and your concerns, what you're anxious about, let them know. But I said to do a combination of the different types of people because you have different types of questions. If, for instance, if it was a question regarding a specific career, then talk to a professional about it. If it's regarding like your own values, what you're passionate about, then you can talk to someone that you find more personal, and you can have these honest conversations with. I think that it's quite hard to just like randomly go up to a stranger and be like, "Hey, I'm struggling." Instead, like be really strategic with the people you ask advice for. And one thing I think is really important: just because you ask advice from every single person or a lot of people doesn't mean you have to take all of it. Pick and choose which advice applies for you. So don't feel like you have to listen to every single advice that everyone gives, and just make sure. I mean, like at the end of the day, you know yourself best.
For me, during my scholarship application, I was contemplate between either to take biology or to go with mathematics, because it was my strength also. My mathematics was my strength subject during SPM as well. But I was worried about how the job demand's gonna be in the future. So like what I did during the scholarship period was that I reached out to my alumni that are doing that courses, which you does not have to reach out to them formally, like through WhatsApp or anything. There's a lot of platforms such as LinkedIn. If you're not having LinkedIn right now, you should have LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, you can connect with anyone, anybody. So like LinkedIn is also one of the platform that I use to reach out to alumni, my school's alumni, and as well as other strangers, and like ask them about what does it feels like to learn about the subjects that they learning at that moment, and maybe ask some advices about if what are your weaknesses, explain it to them, and maybe they would give you advice in return.
Yeah, just to add a bit about what Aiza said. Well, because asking people like your seniors, for example, they're the ones that are within your generation that just went through the same thing that you are going through right now. So they are the ones that probably have a more realistic outview on what the whole process is going to look like and what it's going to look like for you as well. So just reach out to them. If you do not know any seniors that are going through the same path as you, then there are many platforms that you can reach out on. This has a mentorship program that you can reach out to. And like Aiza said, LinkedIn is a really good platform for you to reach out to people in the professional field and also alumnus. And even social media. There's so many like TikTokers out there that share their whole studying journey. Just message them and ask them like, hey, I'm interested in doing this course. What's it really like studying? And chances are they are more than keen to help you out as well. So just send that DM and just ask for it.
So we're nearing the end of today's episode. But before we officially end, I just want to go around the table one more time. And so the question is, what is one final piece of advice that you would give to students, to help them find their confidence and to help them move forward?
I think my advice would be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up because you don't know what course you want to do and all your friends already know what they want to do. Don't be too hard on yourself, but most importantly, be resourceful. If you have time to think about the abundance problems that you have, if you have time to think about all of the issues that you're going through, you also have time to come up with solutions. There are so many resources out there right now. It's no longer an excuse to say that you don't know where to find information on certain things. Right now, it's really easy to get information on certain things. You can go to career fairs, you can go to free webinars and listen to people. And it's really that easy. Like Aiman said, send that DM.
Well, for me, my advice would definitely be to have a support system because ask your friends, ask your peers, because you're not the only one going through this journey. Make sure you have people that you can rely on, people that you can ask advice from, and someone that you can trust to confide in. Uh, and if you don't really have anyone that you can reach out to, there are many people out there, professionals that specialize in this. There are many career counselors that you can reach out to that are free of charge. Their services are free of charge. There are great platforms like EduAdvisor, for example, that you can reach out to and seek their advice from. So don't be too, like Tessa said, don't be too hard on yourself because you're still discovering yourself and you're still young. Remember, 18 is not the end of it. You still have a long way to go. So just be kind to yourself and really trust yourself to know who you are as a person, what your strengths is, what your weaknesses are, and trust that you will make the right decision.
Yeah, I'll just start with what Aiman said. You're just 18, like you're still young. It's not the end of the world, even if you don't even have an idea what you want to do yet. Like I was 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I was also having no idea what I want to do. And I guess when I applied for scholarships, I was just picking and choosing different courses for different scholarships. Nothing was set. Like economics was for Bank Negara. I had data science for Petronas. I had social science for JPA. Like it was just really messy and scattered around. But I think that's one of the beauty of it in Malaysia is that you can always be flexible at this age. And because our foundations are all very open in terms of like the subjects they offer, so there's no problem. It's not wrong to be still, I suppose, discovering yourself and discovering what you want to do. So just take it slow, go step one by one step by one step, and eventually you discover what you might really want to do, especially when you're starting to learn in foundation and all, meeting new friends, new perspectives. I think around that time you might have an idea. If you still don't have an idea, then obviously advice is always the best way to go. Yeah.
And if you're still hesitant on what courses that you want to pursue and you're afraid to reach out to people, right? My honest piece of advice would be try to watch some career vlogs on YouTube because that's also one of the things that I did back in high school, which I think all the vlogs really convinced me on what my life is going to be like in the next 30 years, in the next 5 years, because I want, like I said, I want to be able to enjoy what I'm doing in the future. So if you think that watching the vlogs is very enjoyable, then maybe it's resonate your passion, then go for it. So
All right. That was really beautiful, guys. Okay. So I think the message here is quite clear is that you always have to be kind to yourself and to trust the process. And to our guests, Aiman, Liaw, Tessa, and also Aiza, thank you so much for accepting our invite and making the time to share your journey with us. Your insights have been truly invaluable.
We truly appreciate you guys making the time to be here. And to our listeners, that wraps up episode 9 of Base Talk. We hope that this conversation helped clear some of the fog for you.
If you found this helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We really want to hear from you. So do let us know any other topics that you like for us to discuss. And do let us know what's on your mind.
Thanks for tuning into Base Initiative. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.